Welcome to the Breaking Chains podcast, season 3, episode 2. And we're going to talk about adaptation.
That's our season scheme.
Oh.
So
that's the whole season.
That's our we're just talking about adapting because that's the season we're in. We're adapting to this new life with 3 kids. Also lots of changes in the business.
Moving and shaking.
Don't know if I'm ever going back.
She may not be coming back.
We'll see. We'll keep you guys updated on how that goes. It's just kind of weird with the 3rd baby. With the 2nd baby, we had we made a little daycare at the gym.
We did.
And so it was like a very interesting maneuver that helped me, but like it was a lot of work to do that.
It was.
So just doing that again, yeah. So there's a lot of adapting to this new season of our lives. But today we're talking about the challenges of life and how you adapt to and rise to each challenge, right? And how that goes with growing, how adapting and growing go together. So what is adapting? Again, adapting is changing to the circumstances you're in, right? To be able to kind of start to flow and feel comfortable in a new climate, right?
Of course. Yeah,
That's adapting.
Or like changing your perspective so that you can move differently. I think perspective is everything.
Right. And so that's like, how do you grow? How do they go together? How does that go with growth?
How does adapting go with growth? I think they're hand in hand.
Right.
Like growth requires change. Adapting is the process of changing.
Can you grow or can you adapt to something without growing?
That's a great question. Can you say that one more time?
Can you adapt to something in life, a situation, a place, an environment, a new experience? Can you adapt to something without growing? What do you think?
I'd say you can.
I think so too. I think you could adapt without growing.
I think you can adapt to being okay.
Mid.
With like, all right, I'm here.
Yeah. So it's kind of like complacency and contentedness, right?
I don't want to sound like content is bad, because I actually think content is good, but complacent.
That's what I'm saying. It's like complacent and contentedness. It's like you can adapt to something and be like, okay, and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because that's
exactly
complacent, but
it's like you're moving horizontally instead of vertically.
And sometimes that's okay.
Yeah.
But when you are complacent, so content means you're good.
Yeah.
You're good. But contentedness does not mean you don't have the desire to keep going or to keep growing or to keep evolving or to keep changing. Complacency is, I want to stay here. I really like it here. I don't want to go anywhere. And let's just keep this going.
Yeah. And I feel like content is like, I'm kind of present. Like I'm going to be here now with everything that's here and maximize it for whatever it's worth to me. I'm not being complacent, and I'm also not chasing. It's kind of
contented. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like an interesting dynamic.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like a relationship, right? Like if you take our relationship and you could take, when you say someone's complacent in a relationship, it kind of has a negative connotation, right? It kind of means, this is what I feel like the best I can do. And this is what I'm going to stick with. I'm complacent, or we're comfortable with each other. Maybe we like the same things. Maybe we have some same hobbies, but like, we're not really growing together. You're not challenging me. I'm not getting better. You're not getting better, but it's comfortable here.
Yeah.
Right? And content, maybe I'm happy in this relationship. It's a good relationship. I don't feel the need to leave the relationship.
Yeah.
but I want to grow. I want
course.
something to change. I want to challenge you. You want to challenge me. Does that make sense? So we kind of change the subject, but like adapting and growing is kind of like the same thing, right? Like you can adapt to a new change. Like you can adapt to having a third kid, but it doesn't mean you're a better parent now. But I feel like we're constantly striving to be better partners to each other and better parents.
Agreed.
Right? So we can adapt to it. Like, now we have 3 and just keep doing the same thing. Or we can have 3 and become better.
Yeah.
At our systems, at our organization, at our communication.
I think like naturally we like live to evolve though.
That's what Tyler said.
Like
before.
I don't, at some point, even if you're complacent that might be a period of your life. And that's okay because you needed to experience that complacency in order to acknowledge where it got you on the other side.
So boom, that's the topic. Life challenges.
Yeah.
We are going to be challenged to grow no matter what. And we've talked about this before. This is like a recurring theme. It's a motif in this podcast, right? Like you're going to get thrown challenges whether you're ready or not. Whether you're ready or not, whether it comes from within your own challenges or from the universe, right? Like what? And are they the same thing?
I believe they're one and the same.
Right? It's just like the opposition. It's the inverse, outverse, right? So when it comes to adapting to challenges or rising to challenges, how do you think they change you in order to make you grow?
How life challenges?
Yeah.
I think life challenges are vitally necessary for evolution. Like if we weren't challenged, we would probably grow at a much slower pace.
So let's take this in like real time. What is a challenge you're going through right now? And I'll talk about mine that you feel like you're being given right now, that you can see that it's a struggle to go through right now. Like if you're being vulnerable and honest and you feel like you're being forced to grow there, although it may be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you need to learn how to adapt.
I feel like I'm going through a multitude of challenges. Obviously, challenges with balancing out family and business dynamics. 2 babies to 3 babies, more responsibility. The businesses themselves, NBD, both locations, kind of like new staff, new systems, in a competitive industry. Always trying to find the right marketing. So right now I feel like I'm juggling unlimited things while maintaining my sanity. And if this was 2 years ago, I don't know if I could be able to do what I'm doing right now.
So the reality is you've adapted to the place, to be in the place. You've adapted in your life to be in the place where you can handle more challenges.
Correct.
Right? Just like I talked about before, like when you have 1 kid, you think it's the hardest thing in the world. You're like, oh my God, what do I do with this kid? Then you have 2 kids and it's like, oh, this is actually a little bit easier. Then you have 3 kids and it's like, I'm wearing a purse, right? It's like, why did I think the first one was so hard?
Yeah.
Because the reality, I've never done it before. You're learning new things. You are in a completely new climate around different people. Now you're around moms. Now you're around more doctors and people telling you things. And you're trying to figure out what your truth is in parenthood.
Yeah.
And what your relationship style is in parenthood, right? And then you could only, once you've adapted to parenthood, you can only grow from there or stay stuck in a vicious loop of, there's some things that we're still stuck in a vicious loop in as parents. And there's other ways that we've grown tremendously, right? And so there's always places to work. There's always room for improvement. But at the same time, life challenges you to grow. You're forced to grow. Because if you don't, you'll be very uncomfortable.
But I also think you're forced to grow in different areas, like meaning Like if we talk about, I always speak about MED being physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. Like sometimes people are going through a strong physical challenge. Like they need to, they're going through an illness, they're going through a sickness. Other people are going through an emotional challenge. Other people are going through a mental challenge, spiritual challenge. Sometimes there's a combination of all at once.
Usually they go hand in hand, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why,
We're here.
yeah, it's because it's completely connected.
Right.
It's
So if
completely
you were to
connected.
pick one challenge that just pops up in your head right now, because you're like, I'm going through everything. Yeah. What do you think right now is your greatest? Like if you were to sum it all up.
Right now, like my greatest challenge,
Yeah.
self-mastery. It's been my biggest challenge.
That's like a lifetime challenge.
I don't think it's a lifetime challenge.
No?
No, I think you're always going to be challenged in life, but the person that you show up to be with regards to any challenge, I think that can be consistent throughout your life. So like, I'm
But
gonna get challenged.
you don't think that evolves? Because even when you think you're at this place where you've mastered thyself, right? Like
I don't think there's an end point, but
right. That's what I'm
there's-
saying. It's like a constant that has to evolve as well, because just like we've looked at gurus, right? Once you think you're in this place, and there's some gurus that we've seen, and we're like, really, that's them now? Like things they've done, and not that we're judging and saying, oh, this is right or wrong, but it's like that's definitely weird from a guru. Like remember when I talked? What was that guru that like had a kid lick his tongue? Who was that?
Oh, the Dalai Lama?
Dolly. Did I bring that up with? Yeah, and it was like a real thing. Like he's like lick my tongue to a kid, and it's like, ugh. So many people think this is like some evolved, illuminated being, right?
But I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about me. So
That's
I
what
know
I'm
there's
saying.
I know there's no end point. And I'm not comparing my journey to anybody else's. What I'm saying is the ultimate challenge is the challenge of overcoming yourself. Because at that point, it's not that life's not going to still give you challenges and that you're not still going to grow and evolve. But there's a place of like calm coming into life's challenges moving forward. So like my perspective is changing, right? It's almost like I heard this example the other day in terms of like astrology, and I was talking about the scorpion, right? Like the scorpion's like on the ground, can't really see far. It's walking on the ground, but the eagle's all the way up here. So I feel like self-mastery is not that the eagle's perfect, but the eagle's coming from a different perspective than the scorpion. So for me, it's more like that my perspective within my skills, within my abilities is my perspective of life itself is changing. To me, that's self-mastery. It's not that I'm not going to yell. It's not that I'm not going to get angry or upset. It's that my perspective is shifted from what am I learning from this experience? There's no poor me, or there's no like, I can't do this. It's just like, what's the best route for me to go with what's going on right now in this present moment? That in itself, to me, is a whole different level from where I was. That's kind of what I mean by always mastering myself. Because I can only master myself with where I'm at right now. I can't master myself 10 years from now. That's in the future.
So do you agree or not agree with self-mastery will always be your biggest challenge?
Yeah. Situations happen no matter what. But I'm always able to observe how I'm handling that situation. I can't stop situations from happening, right? I can't stop the weather. I can't stop somebody canceling their membership or a team member quitting. But I can always give my best and try to master wherever I'm at right now by observing my reactions to any situation. Because I can either react to a situation or I can respond to a situation. So I honestly believe mastery of thyself is the ultimate challenge because it's a never-ending challenge and it's in every situation.
Okay.
My perspective.
Interesting. Yeah, I could see that. I would say that if I'm being present, I could see each challenge as a challenge, right? So yeah, I get to choose. And that's why I'm saying, like, is self-mastery the challenge? Because that's more, like you said, it's like more of a perspective shift. So when things arise and you can see them, right, as a challenge. So for me right now, I would say my biggest challenge is shifting my thoughts. So when I see a thought arise, I'm realizing, and I'm in my knowingness of all of my history of my 31 years of life is that my thoughts are super powerful. So if I'm thinking something and then I verbalize it and I use the power of my tongue to make that a reality even further, right? That's dangerous. So if I keep saying, like, Kaya is my daughter, and I've been doing this, so I'm trying, like, it's something that I've been aware of. So this is a little challenge for me right now. She's challenging, but then I say that out loud, and then it just ripples, and it makes it hardens it into more denser fact, right? So every day she wakes up with an attitude. Mm-hmm. She's 2 years old. She wakes up saying no. No to what, girl? Can I brush your teeth? No, I do it myself. Can I get you dressed? No, I don't want to wear that. I want to wear this. Everything is a challenge, right? So I'm watching and I'm like, oh, and then I keep saying it, right? So my challenge right now to myself is, can I speak a little more love into her behavior? Can I egg her on as a positive being a little more? Can I change the way I tell stories about her? Can I change the way I think about her before I even open my eyes and before she even opens her eyes? Can I have the conversation with her before having the conversation with her?
Yeah.
Because I've talked about this as well, right? Like, you have conversations in your head with a person before you have it with them in person.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
So that's what I was saying. You're not trying to fix Kaya. You're actually trying to master yourself.
Right.
You're observing yourself in motion, in action.
Right. So
and then you're changing your own
right.
energy.
So because you've done a lot of work in relatively speaking, and I've done a lot of work relatively speaking, this is like something we do. That is very deep for somebody to understand. But when a challenge arises and you apply it to a particular challenge, then it's not only easier for ourselves to understand. When we simplify it, it's easier for other people to understand. Even when you're talking to me, like, you're talking very elusively, like esoteric.
So then let me simplify it.
Yeah.
Observe yourself.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, master thyself is me on a lifelong journey of mastering the observations of my being.
Right.
So like, if I was like, oh, I'm having a conversation with you right now, I can be observing everything about this communication style right now. Mm-hmm. Are we giving each other space to talk? How are we doing? Are we connecting? Do we agree on this? Do we not agree? How's my energy, right? It's all observations, and we're actually doing it every day automatically. So it's not that people have to strive to do it. They just have to become aware of that part of themselves, because typically they're stuck in habitual patterns like we all are, right? So the observation is all that it takes for a big change or a major change to happen. So like you said, when it comes to our kids right now, you're observing the things that you say that you don't even say outwardly. You might be thinking, you said you were observing your thoughts.
Right.
So you were observing thoughts that weren't said in an audible manner.
Because that's the most powerful thing. They start in your head. That's
Exactly.
That's where all creation is. It's before they're spoken. In the Bible, it says, God made the Word, and the Word was God. Something like that. Don't quote me on it. The Word was God.
Yeah.
God made the Word, and the Word was God. When you speak your words, you're speaking of God.
Well, they say spell.
Right.
Spelling.
Right. You're casting spells. Is there any challenge that you're going through that you feel like life is giving you to be able to see clearer? Maybe it's communicating with me.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest ones right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, is our communication style and our feelings and my feelings about.
Do you have feelings?
I have a lot of feelings.
I know.
Yeah. I think that right now, yeah, that's a lot. A lot of, I'm watching my interactions with people. You know, like some people, I feel like, wow, man, they really connect with me and they like me for who I am. There's other people who
like your wife, like, damn, she don't
there's
like
always
me.
something there. And I'm like, what environment do I want to be in? Like what environment? There's like deeper questions coming to the surface for me. You know, like I was just like, why this, why that? And then there's other questions like, yeah, our communication. I think definitely over the last month, I mean, we've always had some communication issues.
I think it's human. I think people just all communicate differently. There's 7 billion different languages, right? And we're all just trying to learn each other. No?
Yeah.
Has there ever been anyone in your life that you felt like you just communicated so smooth and they've been in your life forever and they just...
I feel like some of my friends I communicated really well with them. It's not that something didn't happen. I just think that it's important for all of us to be able to observe our surroundings and see like, how do we feel in this environment? Like, do the same type of conversations consistently come up? And what is the outcome or the intention of those conversations? Are they there to uplift you or are they there to bring you down? Like, those are things that I feel like in my life right now is my challenge to be able to observe those things. Every challenge requires an observation. So when I'm all the way up here in the sky, it's really me looking at the fact that that is life challenging me. If somebody's doing something to me, that's life challenging me for me to either put up my boundaries like I need to, or for me to overcome some feeling inside myself with regards to that person.
So with all the observing, right? So if life is constantly challenging you to observe, right? So that's what you're saying, to become the observer. Like, hey, I'm challenging you to master yourself by observing, right? What do you think is the next step then? What is the whole purpose of that in your world? Like, why are you being challenged to continuously observe yourself? For what?
I think everybody's getting challenged to observe themselves if they truly want to look. And I think the observations, the whole point is because that's like our navigation to the life we're supposed to be living, right? So if I'm observing a situation that is like uncomfortable, I have to discern the difference. Am I not stepping up to the plate like I need to and growing and elevating myself to another level to handle this challenge?
How do you know the difference?
I think we all know the difference. Because like if I ask anybody right now, if there's one thing that you can do to absolutely transform your life, what would it be? They would know.
You think so?
Yeah. If there was one trait about you right now, one trait that you know is holding you back, that you could disappear, that you could have disappear in a moment's time, what would it be?
I don't know.
Really?
That was such an interesting
So do you think
comment.
there's nothing you can pinpoint in your life that you may feel is holding you back from anything?
I feel like that's the purpose of life in going through the challenges. The challenges help you see and break the chains of what's holding you back, and it's constant evolution. I don't think there is any point in my life that I could have taken away to bring me to where I am today.
I'm not going back in time, though.
But that's what I'm saying. At every given moment, I didn't know what was coming.
Is there any place
to change me next? Like, I had no idea what would make me break into a greater version of me. And I strongly do believe that today I am better than I have ever been, mentally, physically, spiritually. And because I'm constantly striving for growth, I'm constantly striving for betterment and connection and communication. Like I look at all my relationships right now, with my friendships, with everything. I think I am more at peace than I've ever been with my knowingness. And what I don't know is what needs to change next. That's what I ask for guidance for. Because if I think I know, then my ego is completely out of line and in the way. Because then I think I have control of what I can do. And I think that's grace. That's what's given to me. It's what's shown to me through really hard moments. And I'm prepared to go through hard. It's like birth, right? Like being pregnant the whole time. I know that birth is going to, I don't like to use the word hard. Oh, I'm going to feel it. It's not going to be rainbows and sunshine and, like, I mean, I've read like an orgasmic birth and I've been aiming for an orgasmic birth. It has not happened yet. Maybe number 4, but like it's going to, you're going to feel that portal opening and you're going to feel it. And then there's bliss. And then there's, I did it. I got through that. Oh my God. I had no idea what was coming. I had no idea what that was going to feel like, but I'm grateful that I went through that so that I could be on the other side of this now with this gift, with this love, with this light in my life. But like, I could not tell you what that experience was going to be. So what would be the one thing?
I don't think I said pick an experience that you think you need to go through to help you overcome.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
What I said is what internal traits or characteristics right now do you feel that would be holding you back from becoming the best version of yourself? Like, do you think there's a trait that is holding you back that if was no longer there? I didn't say what experience could you project that would help you overcome that. Is there anything, is there anything that you could think of?
I think there's a multitude of things.
So I said just choose one. Is there one thing?
You said everybody has one thing.
That they could choose. I didn't mean like one thing. Everybody has at least one thing on their mind that they could say, man, like if I wasn't scared of this, I could do everything that I wanted to do. If I wasn't scared of rejection, if I wasn't scared, like who knows what it may be for that person.
I mean, I was talking to Tyler. I don't know. I was talking to Tyler and I was like, about this episode, and I was like, it's kind of interesting because if people around you are all telling you one thing about yourself, how is life showing you that you need to change by other people telling you, right? Like, okay, Chastity, you could be a better listener, right? And if you're a better listener, then, maybe you can communicate better, right? But how would I get the guidance or understanding to become a better listener? Tyler said there's classes. He took a class. So maybe that's my next step in life. but like that doesn't mean it will transform my life. There's learning how to listen, and then the next step would be learning how to respond from being a good listener. But it's always in steps, and that's the true transformation and metamorphosis into becoming the beautiful butterfly that's possible for us all. But we have no idea how dark that cocoon's going to be and what the breakthrough is going to feel like. What is one thing that you feel like can transform your life?
I feel like if I was absolutely fearless and never scared of rejection, I would fucking be incredible.
So what's stopping you?
My metamorphosis, right? That's what we're going through. And that's what I'm observing in myself. What is my value? What do I deserve? What life do I deserve? Right? Not the life that my parents had, but like, what do I deserve in my life? What do I want in my life? What do I want to accomplish? How do I want to feel? I think all those deep questions are important for all of us to ask. But I think about how many times in my life I could have probably just asked somebody a question. I could have probably just asked somebody, and I was just scared of getting rejected. And so I think that if I was fearless, absolutely fucking fearless, and didn't care about what people thought or what people think or how people felt, then I think that honestly, it would be game over.
Do you believe that we've been given that trait as humans, though, because we're supposed to? That's that human trait of having compassion, having giving.
I don't think fearless means not having
care.
compassion. I think that's different. I can have love and compassion for everybody and still be like, hey, I want this and I'm going to ask you for this. Mm-hmm. And you have an opportunity to turn me down and you have an opportunity to help me out or accept my offer.
Yeah, I could see that. I guess I'm thinking, I think I'm thinking different too, because sometimes in asking for more, we're taking from somebody else. You never know. And I'm not saying there's a limit. There's a limit,
more,
right?
Though?
But in terms of, right, so like if an employee came and is like, this is how much I want.
Yeah.
An MBD at this moment, like, okay, well, we would love to get you there, and I want to get you there too. At this moment, MBD cannot afford to give you this dollar amount of a salary and stay within budget for everything. I want to give you that. I want MBD to grow to a space that can give you that. And they're like, all right, F you, I want this. And that's fair, right? It's fair for them to go get what they want.
It is.
Right? At the same time, as the owner, you want the greatest, the best team players, right? And what if all the best team players are right? F that if I'm not getting this dollar amount. So sometimes there is this understanding, and I feel like in this ebbs and flows and in the in-betweens of understanding that, like, contentedness. I am content with receiving
what
this.
I'm saying
I'm content with having this in this place where I'm at with this challenge, and I will rise to grow, to get more, and it might not even be physically more.
It has nothing to do with more. It's not that. It's fearless in many ways. Like in this situation, you're connecting it to team members and money. It's not always about that. Being fearless doesn't mean that you are scared to get rejected because of a business deal or something like that.
I thought that's what you were talking about. I felt like I was connecting it to what you were talking.
That's what you connected it with. But it could be anything in life. Just being fearless, and not necessarily that you're asking to like one up somebody. I'm not like, hey, accept my offer. That's not what I'm saying. Being fearless is saying, this is what I actually need in a moment right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to ask somebody for it. Whether it's you, hey babe, I need space right now. Like, I'm not completely worried about like the fact that
completely worried.
what's going to come back to me, because what's going to happen is, hey, you need space, da 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 da. Right? But like,
imagine having 3 children on top of you.
But if I was fearless and I could be like, hey babe, it was a rough day today. If you don't mind, I just need 30 minutes to myself. And I could do that fearlessly. That's a lot. That's a lot. Not thinking about all of the ramifications of, okay, now I'm about to ask for this, and then
so
this is
fearlessness also means unafraid of the consequence, right? So that's like,
no,
okay.
It doesn't. It has understanding. Why does there have to be a consequence?
Because everything has a consequence in life. Every ask has a consequence. Every action has a consequence. Consequence just means
it has an outcome, not necessarily of a consequence. I guess if you're using positive consequence.
There is positive consequences. Okay. So it's the outcome of whatever happens, right? And so as we make our bed, so we shall lie, right? So it's kind of like, okay, if you, let's take this back to us, right? If you need 30 minutes, right? That's also understanding in a relationship that both of us need space. And it's also understanding we chose to be in a relationship. So it's, you take 30 minutes, you give 30 minutes. It's always about give and take. It's never about taking. And often in relationships, it's how much can I give, knowing, and this is relationships with friendships, with staff, with your partner, with parents. It's about knowing that everything will be returned back to me by my output, right? And my generosity of love, because love is abundant, right? So if it's constant asking and taking, is that...
Why does that have to line up with constant? Because you're fearless doesn't mean you're always taking.
Your fearlessness, your comment came with
no, that's
what
the
you
way
wanted
that you,
to take
no,
and have.
That's the way that you took
That's
it.
the way you
I didn't say I
it.
always want to be taking more time. I didn't say that. I said in a moment I asked, hey, I just need 30 minutes of space.
That was your example.
Okay, that doesn't mean that.
Okay, what's another example then?
No, I want to focus on that example.
Okay.
Another example could be anything. I mean, it's just being, it's being fearless in, I don't know why fearless has to have a negative connotation.
It doesn't. I think I'm fearless. I'm a fearless warrior.
But you're, okay. All right. So you feel that way, then you're fearless.
We all have fears.
We do. And so, and I understand that it's part of a growth curve and a completely evolutionary process. I'm okay with it, but I see the areas that I have fear. And I'm okay with stepping into those areas that I have fear, knowing that I have to transcend those areas where I experience fear to become the best version of myself. That's all that I was saying.
Can you give me a better example?
I think it's, sure. Like, for instance, if in business, I have to ask somebody for something. Like, I don't want to be in a place like, oh man, I have to always take it on the chin for somebody else. I don't want to be in that situation. Like,
delegating?
If they're partners in the business, right? Like, there's things that I have to look at and say, why am I here? No, I kind of need to do this. I need to do that. For me, this is my boundary. And I'm no longer going past this boundary. That's being fearless. That's stepping up to the plate and saying, this is what I got to do for me. And that's just another example in business of a relationship. And it can be with a team member. It can be with a partner. It could be with a member. It could be with anything, right? You might be scared you're going to lose a member, but we can't be scared of that stuff anymore. So I think there's always areas to grow with regards to being fearless. And I, for one, know that actually a fearless me is going to be the best husband and the best dad that I can be, and the best leader that I can be is a fearless one.
Do you not ever think that every
that doesn't mean I'm not going to hear,
best?
That's not going to mean that I'm not feeling fear. It's just acknowledging that and being able to still step into it.
My question was, do you not feel that every moment you're being the best you can be?
I do feel that every moment, I guess at that moment, maybe I am being the best that I can be.
I feel like every moment I'm being the best I can be.
Yeah. With the ability to observe where I can also be better, but not from a place of negativity or self-criticism or shame or guilt, but from a place of like, okay, I can make that move and feel better about that. I think that's important too, because you can also go into a place like, I should have did this, I should have did that. Oh my God, I'm this, I suck, I stink.
But by growing, a huge part of growth is stopping the negative self-talk, realizing that is not doing anything, especially when it's to others. Like, oh, I'm just so stupid. I'm so this, I'm so fat, I'm so ugly. The negative shame and guilt talk is one of the biggest things that can hold us back. So like that, if I could like leave anybody with a tip today, and it's like, it will always come up, right? Saying, I'm poor, I'm broke today, I'm this. Saying these words are so powerful that they will remain true. Right? So that's the power of positive affirmations. It's not saying these things that are false so that you believe it and then suddenly they become true. it's actually saying these words and knowing it, knowing your truth, right? To change your truth so that you are no longer living in that old dialogue. I am so this, I am so that. So I think that helps get rid of a lot of shame and guilt. And I just had to bring that up because it just came, and I feel like we could leave everybody on a positive note.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like you said, it's observing. So from my perspective, I think that to leave everybody with a tip is meditation. Being able to quiet your mind for a period of time to watch how crazy the thoughts in your head are, and to finally get comfortable with them, because you have to shine light on that shadow in order for you to be able to transcend it. It's a very uncomfortable process, but it's one that I feel we all must go through on a regular basis in order to step into the best version of ourselves. So we're on the same page.
Absolutely. We rise up every time. You're going to have to get comfortable wherever you are in order to be there. And then another challenge comes, and then it's time to grow again. Every single time. If you ever feel like life is just easy and breezy all the time, you must live in another realm, right? Because there's always something that is forcing us to change. And it's so important to watch what that is to become a better version of yourself, especially the most uncomfortable moments, looking back and reading in between the lines.
Growth is uncomfortable. But it's necessary.
Hi, Kate.
So embrace it. So thank you guys for joining us today on Breaking Chains podcast. Hopefully you're able to take some tidbits of wisdom or knowledge that resonate with you. Feel free to share with a friend or a family member if you think this would support their need or cause. And feel free to reach out to us if there's anything that you guys would want us to talk about, whether it's our own life experiences, parenting, whatever.
Like, comment,
We're all just
subscribe.
working together to find our space. Love you guys.
Love
See you
you.
next week.
One love.